As the surgeon predicted, Derek regained some use of his arm and hands. After returning to New Zealand, Derek needed transportation to enable him to get back to work.
Transport was the big thing, and I was really, really fortunate that the people of the town I was brought up in Huntly, locals got together and they raised money, which enabled us to have our first vehicle, which was just so important. And that allowed me to travel from Green Lane basically to Papatoe to work. The only thing that is different about this to other vans is that it has a locking device on the floor which locks me in place, and it's very efficient.
But for the others, the path back to work was not as straightforward.
Wasn't too sure what I really wanted to do. I was thinking about going back into the scaffolding industry. And I thought, no, I don't really want to do that for the rest of my life.
I want to be able to work again full-time, teaching, but at this stage I still get quite fatigued and my body gets quite tired still, and I want to be able to give 100%.
Having been active all his life, Rhett struggled to find a new career.
I just can't sit around and do nothing. I've got to do something, and I thought long and hard about a lot of options. Studying for a degree, or what could I actually do.
Kaleidoscope is an organisation designed to mentor people like Hannah, Rhett, Martin and Derek, who have suffered from a serious spinal cord injury, by supporting their journey back into the workforce.
I'm Chris Robson, a vocational rehabilitation consultant with Kaleidoscope. One of the feelings that they have is probably a lack of control around making decisions for themselves, a loss of independence. As they become involved in the program, they're looking at making changes as to see how they can take charge of their lives. Well, everybody's different, and I think that that's the most important thing, really. Some people, by the time they're introduced to the program, feel quite positive about heading back to work, and so it's a case of assisting and helping where you can to make that happen. For other people, they lack confidence, and so it's working through those barriers. How am I going to get back out into the community, develop relationships, get back into work?
Having overcome depression and despair, Rhett knew he had to move out of the retirement home and find a new environment to live in.
I bought a section, designed a house, and on the 7th of June 2007, I shifted into this house where I live now with caregivers.
And Rhett was determined to find a new career.
I was in a coffee shop in Whangarei one day and I bumped into an ex-policeman friend who was a safety inspector for OSH. And I said, oh, look, I'd love to talk to people about my accident and try and do some prevention. What do you reckon, is there an opening? And he said, well, I'm sure there is. So I went down and gave my first talk to about 30 scaffolders.
What happened to me is applicable in any industry, on any construction site, where there is the potential for danger. Kaleidoscope put me on the right track with a business structure. They provided me with a business mentor. Through them, I was enrolled in a professional speakers boot camp for a weekend, which gave me another whole insight into the business. You guys will all be looking at me, some of you young fellas, and thinking, can he have sex? Come on, admit it! You know, the answer is no. Signals don't get through to where they should. Spinal cord's damaged. Naturally, your body's just not the same again. It was all really down to Kaleidoscope. It just pushed me along past the initial stages where I'd got to myself. Just remember, Rhett Brown, next time you think you might take a risk. Thank you.
Martin's sessions with Kaleidoscope gave him the inspiration that led him to study architecture full-time at Unitec.
With Martin, the idea of being an architect had come out of also what he could do, or his love for building, and what he could do in terms of his knowledge and experience with scaffolding.
It was great that Kaleidoscope was there and worked with me to define my career options. It's something that I always thought that I would enjoy too, designing something that would stand for years and that people would admire and use. Without Kaleidoscope, I probably wouldn't have had my self-motivation in finding the skills and the ways and the means to getting to where I needed to be.
Hannah is now studying for a degree in psychology.
We introduced her to a number of different opportunities that arose, but I think after time she just decided that she really wanted to study.
I would love to use my passion for dance and drama and the performing arts and teaching and combine that with the knowledge I get from this health degree. So child psychology is what I'd like to do. But I definitely want to work with children. This is one of the paintings that I've painted for Ian. I had a dream when I was in the spinal unit that I was walking through a grass field. I sketched it out in a diary and I decided that I would paint it. I wanted him to have something that represented the journey that we've been on together.
And Hannah is now writing a book based on her journal. Every page she writes reminds her how far she has come from her first days in the spinal unit.
And even just looking back at it now, it's making me laugh and it's making me realise where I've come from. I'm really hard on myself in terms of recovering, so I want everything now.
By contrast, Derek has been working independently for years with some very heavy metal.
I was wondering what I was going to be able to do, and with my father's assistance we tried out an old digger. And once we worked out how to get in it, I realised and I was able to pull a few levers. I was like, something I could do. Fortunately, I'd met another chap who had just moved into the area and we started working together. That was the beginning of working with a digger and doing construction again. Digger's an extension of your hands. Having tetraplegia where your hands and your arms, you've lost all that power. All of a sudden you've got the means to be very powerful. With just minor movements you're able to do anything.
As if he wasn't busy enough, Derek spends time at the spinal unit, mentoring patients in the art room.
It's just another way of finding enjoyment, and we have to find it wherever we can.
And he also works 10 hours a week in the unit's community gardens.
So when the community garden was established here at the spinal unit, he got the job as garden mentor. And I think also by seeing that Derek could do it, others were prepared to give it a go, which was great.
If you can see what is possible, that's often enough.
Rhett's business is growing. He spends a lot of time on the road assisted by a caregiver, delivering his safety message.
Shit, I've just broken my neck. No, not me. I'm bulletproof. Unlike you guys, I'm bulletproof. That can't happen to me.
I have that ability to connect with the audience. Through my career as a police officer for 20 years, I mixed with people from all walks of life, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to relate to construction workers, and I can relate to managers in a boardroom.
Rhett's success allowed him to do something he's always wanted to do. Rhett is travelling to Greece and Turkey with his caregiver Deborah, a trained nurse who's originally from Greece.
I've always wanted to do a trip overseas, and I've always been fascinated by the Mediterranean. And Deborah coming back with idyllic lifestyle stories about little Kythera, a small island, I thought, I've just got to go there.
Here, come here.
These days, Martin gets around with the help of his dog Taurus, and having the support of his partner Cherie at his side for 9 years has made Martin set himself yet another goal.
I don't know, about a year after my accident I proposed to her and she said yes. So we're engaged to get married. A goal that I set with that was to be able to walk up the aisle without crutches or a walking frame, so that's still a goal of mine that I would like to achieve.
Hannah is also leaping ahead with her intensive physiotherapy sessions.
We're still working towards big goals. We're working towards things like running, things like dancing that Hannah was doing before.
I want to get off ACC and just start making money again for myself. I'm ready now to start doing auditions again and to put myself out there.
Years ago it used to be that those people with physical disability would be best suited to office-based roles. I think times have come a long way really, and the more people see what other people are doing out in the community, the more they're expansive thinking about what's possible.
Surround yourself with positive things and people that are going to help you.
I look at my life a lot of time in pie charts, and most of the time the bad bits are just small segments. You realise that the overall thing is not too bad at all.
My accident was for a reason, to take me in another direction in life. I couldn't see it at the time, but now I look back. What I'm doing for me, it's a passion. I love doing it.
For me, I feel like it's been a gift. I'm stronger. Learning to walk would have to be possibly one of the hardest things that you'll ever face with, so For me, I feel unstoppable.
This program was funded by New Zealand On Air.